Okay, so here's my story. I was born on the west coast of Canada, and grew up there most of my life. I come from parents that got married very young, and my mom was 18, my dad was like 19, 20, and by the time my mom was about 22, 23, she had 3 kids, and so kids really young, and then my parents started taking in foster kids, and that became my mom's job, and it was an incredible opportunity. It was amazing, but it meant a lot of kids in one house, and at one point we would have 10 kids in the house at one time, and I'd go to sleep at one night, wake up the next morning, and then there'd be more kids in the house because they needed a place to stay. So it caused a lot of chaos, but good chaos, because my mom got to take care of these kids and love them and tell them about Jesus, but also very chaotic for my parents, and a lot of things that happened there. And so as the years went on, I knew about God. We went to church. My parents were believers. And so I always knew about God. And then at the age of 12, my parents, just from all the workload and everything else, decided to get a divorce, lots of fighting and things that happened, and they decided to divorce and break up. And it caused me to think, oh, I have an excuse to be rebellious and be silly and be stupid. And so I did a few stupid things, and just at school and just drinking and things like that. But then God radically saved me. I was at a big concert, a Christian concert, and just watching people worshiping the Lord. And then I thought, okay, this is age 13. I was like, how can I not believe in this God? I see all these people worshiping him. How could I not believe in this God? And so that's when I gave my life to the Lord, and just something shifted within me. As a 13-year-old, I was like, I need to know this God. If he's real, if he is real, then I need to figure him out. So at age 13, I started seeking God's face. I started praying at night and reading my Bible and getting into the Word, and going to church services and everything else. And God started speaking to me, and I just incredible encounters with God as a 13-year-old, as a 14-year-old. And God told me I was going to be a missionary. At age 13, he's like, Leah, you're going to be a missionary. I thought that meant, having like a bun in my head, living in Africa with really ugly clothes, and that was going to be my life. But I was willing. I was like, yeah, I'll do that. That's fine, God. And so age 13, 14, and even into 15, I'm just loving Jesus and just really after him and after his heart. At the age of 15, end of 15, going into age 16, I was doing a missions trip down in South America with my family, and with my mom and the kids. My dad left, and he was doing his own thing, and so I went down there to do a missions trip. And when I was there, I built a lot of trust with a guy that was on the base that we were working at with the missions base, and built a lot of trust with this guy. He was older and all this stuff, and basically I was like, yeah, this guy's like an older brother to me. I didn't really have a dad in my life, so it became like an older brother. I built a lot of trust, and right before I was about to leave to come back to Canada after the missions trip ended, this guy said to me that I had all the characteristics that he wanted in a wife, and all these things that he felt like. He said he prayed about it and felt like God was bringing us together. I was 15, he was older, he was 27, and it definitely confused me to an incredible point. And it was one of those points in my life that I felt like something just cut in me and tore me to pieces. All this view of God being good, God is for me, God's speaking to me, all these things that God had for my life, it just got smashed completely because I was 15. I was thinking, okay, this guy's older, he knows more, he knows better than I do, and so then I believed him, and I basically concluded from that one conversation that God isn't a good God, that God is not a God that is for me, and it just smashed my whole perspective of who God was within that one conversation and knowing this guy. So I went back to Canada after that conversation happened, and I'm in physical pain because of this, just emotional and physical pain for 3 days over what happened from this guy. And I didn't tell anyone. I just kept it a secret, and I just was like, shoved it down, and just made it not a big deal. And then for the years after that, for about 2 years after that, not telling anyone, I walked away from God more and more and more in my thought life and in my heart, my mind. I luckily didn't do anything stupid. God protected me from relationships, from parties, from all these things I could have gotten into. God fully protected me. But just in my heart, my mind, I distanced myself from God. I shut down, I put up walls, and I just was done with God, because if God was a good God, why would he have something like that for me and cause me so much pain? And so that was my conclusion. That went on for a couple years, and then at age 18, I went to go do another missions trip with YWAM. It was a DTS, a discipleship training school, 6 months long. It was in Australia, and I'm thinking, okay, I'll go do this school because I knew I was supposed to be a missionary. I knew I was supposed to be in the nations and walking with people and telling people about Jesus. But so I went, but I was still in so much pain, but I somehow ended up going to this DTS. I get to this DTS and full of pain, full of insecurity, full of anger and things that have happened from my parents to growing up to this guy in Costa Rica to whatever else happened. I was in pain. And so I went to this DTS and week 4 of the school, just a month in, and I was sweeping my floor of the place I was living in, and no one else was in the house. I was just by myself in this house, and I'm just still dealing with all this stuff in my life, trying to figure out God, trying to figure all this stuff out. And I'm sweeping my floor, cleaning the house, and then this presence falls upon me so strong, like a blanket, like a heavy blanket falls upon my shoulders, and basically God in a pretty much audible voice says to me, Leah, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. And God started booming loudly his voice over me. For about 15 to 20 minutes without stopping, God just said, Leah, I love you, I love you, I love you, and just started just focusing on me and just pouring out over me. And what he was doing was one, incredibly meeting with me in a way I could never imagine God could ever do. And two, he was really showing me that he was for me, that he was a good God, that he wasn't against me, and he didn't want me to be in pain and hurt and have that happen to me. And God just showed up so powerfully in that moment of my life that it started shifting my mentality of him. It started shifting where I've seen him and where I got it wrong, where I thought he was against me, but actually he was for me. So I'm crying, I'm just weeping, snot everywhere, and he just keeps saying, Leah, I love you, I love you, I love you. I'm blown away. And in that moment, something shifted in my life where I was like, okay, I need to figure this God out. If he is who he says he is, then I need to figure it out. So at age 18, I just kind of rededicated my life to the Lord and said, I'm after you with all my heart, my soul, my mind, and strength. And I started running after Jesus and trying to discover, okay, is this God really good? Is this God really for me? Is this a God? Does this God speak to me? Is he relational? All these things. And it's been this journey over the last 12, 13 years of my life. This is 13 years ago this happened. And I've been slowly and powerfully discovering more and more how incredibly good this God is. I became a missionary. I've been a missionary with YWAM for multiple years, over 12, 13 years now. And I've been running after Jesus. And this whole time, listening to him, obeying, following him, and still figuring out, okay, what am I doing and who is he? But still, I'm in this place of understanding that he is a God that is for me and he's not against me. He is a God that has good things for me and he's never once left me or never once walked away from me. You know, there's lots of times in my life where I've had a lot of pain from family issues and all the other things that went on in my life, but all I know is that God has never left and he's never failed. No matter what has happened from then till now, whatever, God's been there for me. And my story is yeah, it seems very simple because it is simple. And yeah, I've had a lot of pain, but it doesn't mean that God hasn't been there for me. In the midst of the pain, in the midst of the problems, in the midst of the stuff that's gone on, the things that I chose, the sin, the things that I chose, God was still for me and he's still with me. And so it's been this story for me of discovering who God is, and for me determining, like, I'm going all in. And that's been the story of my life. I don't want to be half-hearted in this. If I want to know who this God is, I'm going to know who this God is. I'm going to discover if he's real. And as I've turned my heart to seek him with all my heart and really seeking him with everything that I am, I have found him. And that verse becomes true, that it says, if you seek him with all your heart, you will be found by him. And often as people, we think, oh, God's not there for me. I've asked him, I've tried to talk to him, but he's never answered back. But we ask ourselves, are we seeking him with all our heart? Are we running after him with everything within us? Because I know, I'm a living testimony. I have sought him with all my heart and I have found him. God has met with me in so many miraculous ways I can't even begin to tell all the stories. This one story of him coming and showing up in my house saying, I love you, was just one of many where God just shows up and says, Leah, I'm with you, I'm for you, let's do this. God has downloaded to me like conversations with him, talking with him face to face. He talked with Moses face to face. He could talk with us face to face. God is the one that is for us and longing to come near to us. So my story, yeah, it seems simple. I told it in like five minutes. I didn't tell all the details, but I said the truth is I came from a hard situation, trying things that have happened to me, but I've overcome because I have Jesus. I've gone through and seen healing from my past because of Jesus. I've had hurt, I've had pain, but I'm coming into great truth because of Jesus. I've sought him with all my heart, with all my soul, with all my mind, with all my strength, and I'm not stopping. I'm going to keep seeking him and keep following him and being obedient to him because he is worth it. He is worth it. Friends, if you are in a place that are just like, what do I do with my life? I don't know what's going on, or you're feeling you're bored, or you're stuck, or you're feeling in a place of sin and not feeling free, run to Jesus. Because when you seek him, you will find him. When you seek him with all of your heart. And if you looking at what do I do next, go to a discipleship training school with YWAM, Youth with a Mission. It's an incredible organization. It has incredible discipleship programs. Look it up, look into it, because if you want to see your life transformed, give 6 months of your life. Give 6 months of your life to Jesus and let him show up and encounter you. Give all your heart to him and see what he wants to do with you. I went to a DTS not knowing what I was going to do next, and now 12 years down the line, I'm married and living in France and loving the Lord with all my heart, mind, soul, and strength. I couldn't imagine where I am right now, but I just gave everything to Jesus, and he's done so much more than I could ever imagine. So see what he wants to do with your life. Live for him wholeheartedly and give everything to him and see what happens.